Florida State football talk. This is what we do each and every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and there is much, much, much to talk about. Coaching staff, bowl game, recruiting, National Signing Day, and of course, regardless of the time of year, Jason Parker always has something on his mind. Jason, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, front and center, Jason is perfect in his 28 for 28 streak for Florida State Seminoles Live right here. Jason, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I would not miss a chance to talk to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, when we actually have a coach now. So mazel tov on that one. We're playing in a historical bowl game that we haven't played in over 50 years against a team we haven't played in 35 seasons, in a bowl game that's sponsored by a stuffed mascot, all the Frosted Flakes we can eat, in El Paso, Texas. Yeah.
Well, me crazy, but I may have maybe opted for like a salsa dip or something else that may have gone a little bit.
I get it. I mean, I do love Frosted Flakes. Shout out to Frosted Flakes. I'm more of a Fruity Pebbles guy. That's my number one cereal. That's the definite go-to. And then Frosted Flakes would be a solid number two. It's just a little weird saying that we're back to being credible by playing in a bowl game sponsored by Tony the Tiger, with POD playing halftime. The band from the late 90s, early 2000s, POD, is going to be your halftime entertainment at the Sun Bowl. So, yeah, that was great at work today, with half the people making fun of it and the other half of the people going, who the hell is POD? So that was kind of awesome today.
Well, Jason, if there's no other incentive for Florida State to get back to the elite of college football, maybe you've provided them with some.
Boom, here comes the boom. Ready or not, here comes the boys from the South. Wow, that's really sad that I know the lyrics to that song. All right, let's get this going.
All right, it's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and I'm sure most of you are regulars right here, so you enjoy the conversation here each and every week with Jason Parker from Chop Chat and also Logan Robinson from Noel Game Day, and it's just an unfortunate thing that Logan could not join us for my Chop Chat delivery because he enjoys that so much.
I'm sure somewhere in Tallahassee, driving to his house right now or driving back from wherever he's getting his 12-pack of beer, he heard you from Connecticut. Your voice transcends from Connecticut all the way down to Florida. So we do
lucky
like
him. All right, so we do have a head coach, and probably fortunate for our viewership, Jason, it's neither James Franklin nor Matt Campbell. So I think we're both a little bit neutral on Mike Norvell coming in from Memphis, where he did a nice job. But as I pointed out to a number of people recently, Jason, in discussing this hire, he wasn't the guy that got Memphis football off the mat of 2 and 3 and 4 win football season. That was Justin Fuente. He received the handoff and kept it in a good place, but that's pretty much what he's done.
Mike Norvell, to me, and we'll start with the positives of it. I'm starting to warm up to Mike Norvell as the head coach. I think he knocked it out of the park during his press conference. I think he was very adamant about he's in a lot of ways, for the old school alumni, he's what Bobby Bowden was when Bobby Bowden was hired in 1976. Kind of a younger coach, kind of a coach who came from, at the time, 76, West Virginia was a good program, but it was still kind of, I guess you would call, what we would call today more of a mid-major at that time. With Mike Norvell coming from Memphis, he's 38 years old, younger guy, and whatnot. I think they like him, and I think he knocked out of the park because he essentially said, we're going to work. It's going to be a work ethic. It's going to be kind of a change dynamic. Nothing's going to be promised. Your guys are going to have to come in. Guys are going to have to perform. I think you're seeing a lot of support from the current players. Tamarian Terry posted stuff today on Twitter, basically complimenting everything about Norvell. So I think I like that so far. I do like also the fact that Norvell was basically honest in saying, hey, this is going to take a while. Yeah, a while is the wrong word, I guess, to say, but it's going to take some time, and basically to be patient. And we wrote about that today on Shop Chat. The biggest thing I think that hindered former coach Willie Taggart was the fact that when Taggart was hired, and I think a lot of it was still resentment towards Jimbo Fisher, with the way Jimbo Fisher abandoned ship to go lead Texas A&M to a whopping 7-5 record this season, was the fact that when Willie came in, and I was guilty of this, I wrote on Shop Chat his first season that in 2018, Florida State was going to go to the Orange Bowl, was going to do great things, and we were all on the Taggart train, and we didn't give him a chance to understand that Florida State was going from what they were in 2017, a pro style offense, all that stuff, to a completely different offense, completely new defense, new players who were coming in. I think we didn't give it the proper respect of there is a changing of the guard. I think with Norvell in the press conference made it very clear there will be a change in the guard, and there's going to have to be a work ethic to get it from where it is right now to that next level. And I think we'll be fine. I think next season, God willing, it is a tough schedule. You start off with West Virginia team who had a rough record this season, but they're still a decent team. Boise State is still on the schedule. It's still unknown if game is going to be played, but you never know. You got Florida and Clemson both coming to Tallahassee, the road game at Miami. So there are some tough games, but I think he did set this tone to where if you just stay patient, work with it, stay the course, things will go well. My negative would be the way that this whole thing was handled. You essentially had the administration led by President John Thrasher, Athletic Director David Corbin, a search group that was hired out of Chicago, who, with all due respect, and I mean this with all due respect to Mike Norvell is not the coach you wait 5 weeks for. Mike Norvell is not the coach that you say after the Miami game, we're going to fire Willie Taggart because we know we're going to get Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell is the coach who you call a few days after the season, after the Florida game, and say, hey, you want to come down here? And the way he sounded like he would have said yes almost in a heartbeat, even with Memphis being 11-1 at that point and playing for the AAC championship. So I'm frustrated with the way this was handled. I don't mind the result. I'm frustrated with the way this was handled. I don't buy for a second the comments made by Corbin in the press conference saying that, I believe it was either Corbin or Thrasher, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember right now off the top of my head, who said that Mike Norvell was the only person who was offered the coaching job. If you expect us to believe that Mike Norvell, the coach of Memphis, was the only person who you offered the coaching job to, then you must either think we're the stupidest group of fans in the world and you have no respect for us as fans or alumni or supporters, or you really, really honestly are that delusional with what took place. I'm going to kind of hope that it's the second one and they really are that delusional, because if you think we are that dumb to think that he's the only one, just be honest and say, hey, he wasn't, they're never going to say it, but just say, hey, he wasn't our first choice, but he's a good choice. That's the way to go.
Got Jason Parker on the line from Chop Chat. Please check out his work right there at chopchat.com, covering Florida State athletics, of course, football front and center, recruiting with National Signing Day coming up on December 18th. We'll dive into that, of course, in the coming weeks, but we've got one more show leading into National Signing Day, the bowl game against Arizona State, and, of course, not only a new head coach, but a coaching staff to go along with Mike Norvell.
The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Let's give it the proper respect, because I'm trying to get me some free Frosted Flakes, all right? The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl featuring POD at halftime. If that doesn't get
one of my strengths.
If that doesn't get you to buy a ticket to El Paso or to watch on your local CBS affiliate at 2 o'clock on December 31st, I don't know what will.
You've done a great sales job. There's no question about that.
I'm totally blowing smoke up my butt. 2019 just needs to end. I've got that. I've got to cover the Florida Gators in the Orange Bowl. Miami's in a bowl game. Ugh.
Oh, you've got that assignment, huh? The Gators in Virginia?
Yeah, and they love that assignment. It's great. Can't wait to go interview Dan Mullen tomorrow. I tried to pass that off on every Gator at our station, but nobody wanted it.
You were just Mr. Florida football. And when I say Florida, I don't mean Gators, as in Gators. I mean the state of Florida.
I think I'm the only one who's old enough to remember when Miami and Florida were actually good. I'm only in my mid-30s. What the hell is going on? Can we stop with the OHIO? We get it. You're in the playoff. Good God.
Our live streams are open to all college football fans.
Ohio State and Clemson. I don't know who I'm going to root for there.
Yeah, it might be a tough call for you.
Because I hate Clemson, but you Ohio State fans are starting to get really annoying. So the game's going to be late at night. Most of your fans are going to be asleep. You might need some support. I don't know.
Yeah, the average age in Ohio is pushing like 80.
Well, the problem is they all come down here to Southwest Florida. There's a lot of people from Ohio and Michigan over on that side of the state. So, over in Southeast, we're all New Yorkers and Mid-Atlantic region.
So back to Mike Norvell. Okay.
Yeah.
What would be your estimation on what kind of a coaching stint / career we're going to see out of Mike Norvell? Of course, you're hoping for the best. ACC championships galore, competing back with Clemson, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the low bar would be that the program continues to trip around with 6-7 wins, whatever. What is your gut feeling about how this is going to turn out?
I think it's going to all depend on how much you see the players, the current players on the roster, and the recruits. You saw that immediately the next day afterwards that he was on a plane to Jacksonville to talk to Jeffrey Sims, who's a FSU committed quarterback. And let's be honest, Florida State needs a quarterback commit for the future there on that one. Then he was down here in Miami with Ron Dugans, Telly Lockett, who was the former coach at Miami Central High School, who was an assistant on the staff the last 2 years in Tallahassee. So I will give Norvell credit. He knows what is out there. He knows what needs to be done. So now it's going to be on the players. It's going to be on the recruits who sign in to basically buy in. And you see a lot of the players, a lot of the alumni, and I think that's what's important here is that you have a lot of alumni, former players who are supportive of the move. And I think that's what you need. You need that support. You need this basically, you need the FSU family to come out and support Norvell. The worst case scenario for me, and I'll play the pessimist role on this one for a second. The worst case scenario is he either A, doesn't sorry, Jay Jobs, I can't tell you what we did with Logan. I promised the police I can't talk about it. The investigation's still going. The worst case scenario would be that we either A, falter like we have under the last few years of Jimbo Fisher and during the 21 games of Willie Taggart, or we have some success, and then my fear is with Norvell being a native Texan, and we don't know what's going to happen with Tom Herman. We don't know what's going to happen with Jimbo Fisher if he has more 7-5 seasons at Texas A&M. You know, you're paying him $75 million. I think they want better than 7-5. We don't know. Could one of those jobs open up? And with him being a native of the Dallas area, does he go to one of those jobs? The best case scenario is you have a second coming of Bobby Bowden, somebody who's going to be here at least, let's say, 15, 20 years. Does he retire in Tallahassee? Whatnot. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm also willing to realize what is going to take place next season. Next season is going to be difficult. If the schedule plays out right now, you have the game in Atlanta, which is technically a home game against West Virginia, and then you have the game at Boise State. He can't lose both of those games. That's the most important thing. He needs to at least, at worst, split those two games. If he comes out of those two games, and with the game in the middle, I'll look up in a moment when Logan comes in or whatnot. If you look at the schedule and he can get through that first three games with at least a 2-1 record, I think we will be okay. If we are 1-2, like we were this season after the loss to Boise State and the loss to Virginia, that could be a minor problem. And it looks like it'll probably either be an ACC game or it'll be Samford. So the chances are good. So if he can go at least 2-1, 3-0, I will be much more confident after those first three games. And I will agree with John. Taggart was treated badly. Anytime you fire coach mid-season, you were sending the most negative message possible. I agree with John, and I've said this before. If you're going to get someone like a James Franklin from Penn State, if you're going to get a Bob Stoops, if you're going to get a big-name coach, and you could get him on November 4th, absolutely, then I would agree with the move. And let's be honest. He got fired after the Miami game because we got blown up by a Miami team that ended up looking horrible, losing to both FIU and Duke in their last two games of the season. If Florida State loses a close game to Miami, let's say 17-14, I think Willie Taggart is still on the job the last three games. But it was a blowout loss at home to a rival that it was not – Miami is not a 17-point better team than Florida State. I'm not saying they weren't a better team on that day, but Florida State was the reason Miami won that game by 17 points. Florida State shooting themselves in the foot. And even Miami fans, if they're honest with themselves, will tell you that. That's why he got fired after 9 games into the season. But if you're going to fire a coach with 3 games left, not 1 game left, but with 3 whole games, a whole quarter of your season left, you need to have something bigger than Mike Norvell.
Do you think any of the big names that were mentioned immediately, like Bob Stoops, like James Franklin, and others, were serious, viable candidates?
I do not believe Bob Stoops was. I believe Bob Stoops was the name recognition candidate. I believe, if you're asking my personal opinion, I think Bob Stoops' name was brought up to justify firing Willie Taggart right away. He was the one who was used to say, okay, shoot, we're firing our coach with 3 games left. We have nobody in our plans right now. What are we going to do? Hey, there's a coach in the XFL. His name is Bob Stoops. He won a national title as a defensive coordinator, beating us, and as a head coach, beating us. Yeah, let's throw his name out there. So I don't believe he was ever seriously considered. I do believe James Franklin was considered. James Franklin was considered actually after Jimbo abandoned ship to go be a 7-5 coach at Texas A&M. Yes, I'm going to keep mentioning that Jimbo Fisher went 7-5 at Texas A&M. Sorry, I have to. I do believe James Franklin was considered. I don't believe that he was given enough proper consideration. I do believe that all these coaches like Matt Campbell and James Franklin and Mike Leach and all these coaches who got contract extensions should send a nice muffin basket, maybe a nice fruit basket to Tallahassee, because I think Florida State got a lot of coaches paid just by mentioning their names during this whole search. Odell was set the other day to call a press conference. Yeah, and I think this is something that's big, and I will give Mike Norvell a comment. The first assistant coach move he made was retaining Odell Haggins. I think that's huge. I think that shows the commitment. I like also the move that you're bringing in Kenny Dillingham, who was the offensive coordinator at Auburn, who had been an offensive coordinator with Mike Norvell at Memphis and then went to Auburn last year. I like that move. I was never really a huge fan of Kendall Briles, both on the field and off the field. On the field, because you did great things for power programs like FAU and Houston. Good programs, but not power programs. And then obviously the off-field stuff. So the Kendall Briles era is over. It looks like after one season, Kenny Dillingham coming in from Auburn. And you have to like what you saw from Auburn in games like they did against LSU, game like they did against Alabama. You have to kind of like what you saw from him. So the question's going to be now, do you drastically change from the West Coast or Gulf Coast offense that you saw under Taggart and under Briles, or do you which I don't think you will see that. I think you will see a decent amount of that kind of style of offense, or at least enough to where it's not like you're going from pro style to Gulf Coast offense, which was a crap show in 2018.
You mentioned the schedule for 2020. Now, this is pretty impressive and aggressive for Florida State to schedule like this, and not that they haven't scheduled difficult in the past. And again, we've had this conversation that I respect Florida State and a number of programs in the country that have the one rival who is typically really good in Florida, and then go out there and go to a Boise State in week 2 after playing West Virginia, which is a bit of a wild card. West Virginia could be a 5-win team like they were this past season, but they've certainly strung together a lot of 8, 9, and 10-win seasons in the past and have been a top 25 program at times. So that is a killer non-conference schedule.
Well, now Boise State, the initial reports were that when the game got moved from Tallahassee to Jacksonville, that Florida State was going to use that to buy out the 2020 game in Boise and not play that game. With that game, because of the hurricane, moving the game to Tallahassee, they're going to probably have to play that game. When you keep buying out coaches and whatnot, you're going to have to do that. Jason secretly has orange and blue blood. You're right, orange and blue blood, with my parents who went to FSU, graduated from FSU. First picture I may ever take was in a Florida State outfit. Never rooted for Florida, Miami. Like, yeah, but I secretly have orange and blue blood. Yep, you caught me. You caught me.
The secret's out.
Some of these our viewers here are really special. It could be worse if we were like UM back in the walk-on bowl. Well, I mean, we were there 2 years ago, so let's not exactly talk a lot of smack about Shreveport. It's not much difference between Shreveport and El Paso, but we have POD.
You do have POD. It's going to be quite the show. All right.
Robert Stein, quick complaint about the search. You can complain about the search all you want to. The search was flawed from the beginning. You don't fire a coach after 5 weeks and do a 5-week search to get a coach from a group of 5 school like Memphis. That's just a fact, Robert Stein. It's not complaining. It's just stating a fact. I'm happy with Mike Norvell as the coach. I'm warming up to him as a coach, and I'm going to stand behind him as an FSU grad, as a proud Florida State alumni, proud Florida State supporter and booster. I will 100% stand behind him. I will also criticize John Thrasher and criticize David Coburn for a absolutely flawed search.
It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We bring on Jason Parker and typically Logan Robinson. So you can catch Jason at chopchat.com, and then also Logan Robinson typically joins us. And we understand that Logan is a little bit late from his exams, so he's taking care of those exams this week.
Bull, it's Tuesday night. That's one of the biggest party nights in Tallahassee. He's already pre-gaming at Potbelly's, or maybe Bullwinkle's, depending on who's open at 5 o'clock, getting his happy hour on. All right, that's Logan. He's a senior at FSU. I know what it's like to be a senior at FSU. Trust me. He's partying.
He's ditching us on a big night when we've got recruiting, we got a new coach, we got a bowl game.
It's not that we're mad, Logan. Just disappointed.
Sorely disappointed.
Sorely.
So do you know much about these hires coming in Mike Norvell's coaching staff?
Well, so far the hires he's made are retaining, like I said, retaining Odell Higgins, which I think is huge to keep from the standpoint of keeping the FSU family together and keeping a lot of the FSU fans who may have been a little hesitant about hiring him. Like, I'll admit I was at the start, keeping them in the family. Like we said, Kenny Dillingham, who, like we said, was at Memphis, and then he went to Auburn this past year, and then he decided to come to Florida State and was replaced by Chad Morris, which I think is hilarious that Chad Morris got another coaching job, but we can move on from that at a different point. Dillingham is going to seemingly run not the same offense that Bryles did run, and not the same offense that Willie Taggart wanted when he came in from Oregon. But it's going to be enough of an offense to where you're not going to have to drastically go from 0 to 180. It's going to be enough to where there's going to be a more uniformity with it, a little bit more. I don't want to say more pro style, but a little bit more pro style. But it's going to still be mostly a lot of the same offense, which is good because a lot of the offensive players that were brought in, a lot of the guys in the recruiting class for 2020 are that same type of RPO type offense. So I think you'll be seeing a decent amount. I think that's good to keep some uniformity because he's going to be the fourth offensive coordinator in 4 seasons. And I think that's what Florida State, that's been the biggest problem, is the fact of not just the head coach turnover, but everyone keeps forgetting you went from Jimbo Fisher, or excuse me, I apologize, Lawrence Dawsey was the offensive coordinator in 2017, even though he never called a play, and it was all Jimbo Fisher. Then you had Walt Bell, who was a great offensive coordinator, sarcasm, before going to lead UMass to a 1-11 record this season as head coach. Then you had Kendall Bryles, who, depending on who you talk to, some people loved him. Other people like me were not sold on him. And then you have this new guy coming in from Auburn. So I need to see spring ball first. I need to see how they look in the spring, how they look, and before we can tell you what the future will hold.
So whatever his handle is, Flilambo, I'm going to interpret this question to a certain extent. In regards to support, do we think that there's inherently a problem or a difference between Florida State and Clemson, with Clemson making this power move, exchange in power in the ACC, or is this just as simple as Jimbo Fisher maybe being overrated and leaving the program in not the best of shape, and then Willie Taggart not coming through? Is it just a coaching thing, or is this an inherent issue that goes beyond the coaching staff with the administration, the athletic program?
Winning the national title in 2013 was a great thing for the program, but it also hurt the program. And there's a lot of talk amongst FSU fans and alumni and supporters about the lost decade in the 2000s, in which they still won the ACC title in 2002, 2003, and 2005, but it was a lost decade because it came after the dynasty era of winning conference titles, being in the top 5, and just being the greatest program, in college football, I would say, in the entire 1990s. Jimbo Fisher came in and won a national title with arguably the greatest team in college football history. And we've talked about this before, why I think it's the greatest team in college football history. But then you see in 2014, it's winning these close ball games. 2015, it's losing to a 3-9 Georgia Tech, losing to a Houston team in the Peach Bowl that probably 8 times out of 10, Florida State beats that Houston team. 2016 was going 10-3, but 3 of those wins being by a combined 6 points, and getting blown out by Louisville, getting blown, you're losing games to Clemson, you're losing games to North Carolina. And then you have 2017. You have the joke in 2017. You have 2018. And then you have what we've seen in 2019. I think Jimbo Fisher exploited that 2013 team to get himself a huge paycheck that he wasn't going to get in Tallahassee. They should have gotten in Tallahassee. But I think winning that 2013 national title made Florida State fans and a lot of the bandwagon fans go, oh, we're back, like we were in the 90s, we're back. And we were nowhere close to being back. We had a great season, great team, great collection of players, but that was it. It was a one-time team. It was a great team. We just have to be honest with who we are at that point. We got great players afterwards. We got Dalvin Cook, who's doing great things now in the Vikings, was a great college running back. Cam Akers is a great running back. I think he's gone after this season. I don't know if he's going to play in the bowl game, but you get all these great guys who come in, but they weren't great teams like they were consistently in the late 80s and the 90s and the early part of the 2000s. So I think you have a lot of people who didn't know what we really were. And I think 2013 was a facade for what Florida State football really has been over the course of this past decade. And I think you have a lot of fans who – this is a lot of the bandwagon fans who were probably thinking like this during the 90s and during the early part of the 2000s. But because we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have all the social media, Instagram and whatnot, their messages weren't put out there. I've had Florida State fans who were critical of me, a post I wrote on Monday talking about how the search was flawed and telling me a lot of negative things, just like Clemson fans who gave death threats because I had the audacity to say mean things about Dabo Swinney. Social media has been the worst thing because it's allowed these people to have this voice, this voice of, they think, oh, their voice is on par just because you're a fan. Fan is short for fanatical for a reason. And a lot of these fans, the worst fans are the ones who call in sports radio. The worst fans are the ones who have only free time to spend hours on Twitter talking about stuff. They're the ones who show, and they're the ones who make the real fans look bad. Penn State is a far better program than FSU. Yes, right now Penn State is a far better program. No one has ever said that Penn State wasn't a far better program than FSU right now. But your coach also wanted to come to Tallahassee in the past. So what does that say about your program?
We've got 110 on the line talking Florida State football with Jason Parker from Chop Chat. We're here every Tuesday night. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time for Florida State football talk. And, of course, in the next few weeks, we'll be talking a little bit more about Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State, what we expect to see in 2020 and beyond with, a killer non-conference schedule of West Virginia, Boise State, and Florida throughout the year.
And Samford.
Sorry. I discarded the Bulldogs. Should not have done that.
They were beating us in the fourth quarter the last time they played us in 2018. So let's be real about them.
So we've got that to talk about. Of course, Mike Norvell's coaching staff, the bowl game against Arizona State that Jason is abundantly excited about. The periphery of the bowl game, he's excited about the sponsor and the halftime.
Give me the sponsor, please. Can I get the sponsor name just one time?
Okay. Am I getting this correct? The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl? Is that what it is?
The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
I am really bad about spitting out the sponsors. I'm going to have all sorts of. Now, if I could get a kickback for mentioning the sponsors, now that would, I think I would be able to recall them rather quickly then.
I just want a box of cereal. That's all.
A box of cereal. We can all eat our Frosted Flakes as we do post game.
You have Frosted Flakes post game?
Oh.
It's disturbing. It's a disturbing post game meal. You should have Popeyes and their new chicken sandwich.
Another would-be sponsor. So the bowl game itself, Jason. So you've got Arizona State. It is a Power 5 school. You played Southern Miss 2 years ago, and of course, no bowl game last year. Mm-hmm. They're at beautiful El Paso, where the winds will be sweeping through the. As I understand, it's typically a very windy setting there, kind of a brisk bowl game to deal with.
I remember covering it when Miami played Notre Dame, and it was snowing on December 31st, so that was kind of awesome.
It looks interesting on television. It's just kind of set in the the mountains, all the rocks are all over the place. Not the mountains per se. It's not really a mountainous, is it, area? It's more, but it's very rocky. It's an interesting sight watching on television, but it's typically, and I say this living in Connecticut, but I'm accustomed to snow and holiday type weather versus looking at it. It looks pretty, but typically, yeah, I hear it's mighty brisk down there playing on New Year's Eve, not your typical bowl setting.
You're asking a guy who lives just outside Fort Lauderdale to talk about mountains and hills.
Jason, I expect you to be able to just ramble on about anything I toss out there.
There's 7 hills in Tallahassee. Florida A&M is on the tallest hill. Westcott Building is on another hill. And there's a hill, Mount Trashmore. It's just north of Fort Lauderdale. It's a garbage dump here in Broward County.
I was going to say Mount Trashmore.
Mount Trashmore is what we call it down here.
Look for land there.
There's some hills when you drive on the turnpike up north of Orlando near Gainesville. There's a hill when you go over I-75 near my house. So, yeah, that's the most hill coverage you'll get talking about me. But I do like the fact that we are playing Arizona State. First time we've played the Sun Devils since 1984. We played them back-to-back in 84 and 83. I like it because I think you're going to truly – oh, hold on. We'll take Arizona State one moment.
We're live. We made it.
We are live. Yeah, we do this live, Logan, if you haven't noticed. Week 28, and Logan's notifying everyone. We do this live.
Is this at 7? Is that 7 o'clock on Tuesdays?
No. It's not at 7 o'clock. It's at 7:32. That's our start time every week, Logan. 7:32.
Can you settle a bet with us real quick? Was it Potbellies or Bullwinkles? Where did you go for happy hour tonight?
I actually went to Recess. I went to Recess. I wanted to get with all the younger crowd.
Okay. Second question: have you ever heard of the band POD?
No, I have not. Is it the age thing happening here?
God, I feel so
Logan, the age thing's in your favor. So anytime there's an age conversation, we should not be the ones that are ashamed and embarrassed.
I was actually just eating with Coach Norvell. We were going over a little bit of the coaching search that's going on right now, and he told me a scoop. Looks like they're bringing on Jason to be the head of cheerleading at FSU.
Logan, you realize you just name dropped right there, right? You just name dropped Mike Norvell.
Yep.
So as I was saying before, Logan rudely showed up 32 minutes late without even an apology or anything.
I do apologize. You need to blame my professor for doing this at 5:30 at night.
Who was it?
Mr. I don't even remember his name. It was a classroom of 300 people. I don't know.
Okay, well, shout out to Logan's professor for making him stay late. Shout out to you.
Logan, it's not necessarily authority that you want to wield around recklessly, but when you need to drop the name MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, you just need to go ahead and do that.
Just confirm breaking the news that I graduated from FSU. I like to emphasize that. Yes, I'm very proud. I'm 100% proud.
If everybody else would want to break that news and include $2 as well, they're free and happy to do that. That would be fine.
So as I was saying, we're playing Arizona State in a bowl game, Logan. We actually made a bowl game this year, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, featuring POD at halftime. Wikipedia them, look them up.
Oh yeah, I know I won't be there. I
I will not be there either, but I'm just letting you know they will be playing. You can watch it on television, hopefully.
I guess it's better than Shreveport, right?
Slightly better. It's an easier airport to get into. It's still $1,000 to fly from Fort Lauderdale to Albuquerque, which is the closest airport.
Really?
Yeah.
It was $1,000. I looked. I may have just looked just to see, and then said, "Ha ha 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 ha." That ain't because it's an 8-hour drive from Dallas.
Well, all I know is that I'm not driving there. I will not be flying there. I think I'll just be staying my sad self here in Tallahassee.
I'm just going to say this real quick for you, Mark Rogers. Texas is a big-ass state.
I know that.
Fun fact of the night there.
Fun fact of the night. Texas is a huge state.
Up until about 6 months ago, I'd only been to Texas one time in my life, but I've been there 5 times in the last few months.
All right, that's a little weird.
So I've been there a number of times now, but I haven't looked around Texas. It's not like I've spent time driving around Texas to know. But I understand that. I remember my geography when I was a lad. That Texas is the second largest state, I believe, to Alaska. Alaska is by far the largest state, and then it must be a California, Texas. Why are we talking geography?
I don't know what just happened.
Because you're playing a bowl game in El Paso, we don't need to talk about
You've
Texas.
You've literally talked about geography now for over a minute, and you asked me in Fort Lauderdale about hills. I just want to throw that out there. So let's talk about this bowl game here. We're playing Arizona State. I like the fact that we are playing Arizona State because I think you are going to truly see what FSU is capable of. Am I 100% confident we're going to win? No. I still think we're going to win, of course, because I'm a biased alumni. Just that was a shout out to your man who gave you $2 right there. I do think, though, that it's going to be good because you are going to see a Arizona State team who lost 3 games by a total of 9 points over the course of the season. This was a team that could have played in the Pac-12 title game. And I think you are going to be able to see what the future holds from FSU. Can they hang with a decent team, a decent Power 5 team in a bowl game? It was one thing to beat a Southern Miss team that's, with all due respect, a Southern Miss team. But you're going to be able to hang with a team that was one of the better teams in the Pac-12 this past year. And I think this is going to be the key. If they can go out to the Sun Bowl, get a good win, then I think I'm going to be a lot more confident for 2018. Or should be 2020.
2018. Ooh, boy. I was about
We're going in reverse.
We're going backwards.
2018 was a lot better than 2019. So, yeah, let's go backwards.
A lot better?
For me, it was, yes.
For him personally.
You just had a good year. You're talking about not FSU athletics.
My life does not only 100% center around FSU football and drinking.
Sure.
Okay?
I know.
I mean, now it does, but still, in the past it did.
Hopefully by the end of the season, by the bowl game and everything, this whole right side of the wall will be filled up just for you.
Strive for greatness there, Logan. Go ahead. Talk about the game. We need to talk football. We got 20
I haven't done a lot of Arizona State research, to be honest, because it is finals week and we did have a coaching hire. So I've had a lot of distraction from it. The bowl game seemed like it wasn't, I was like, all right, there's that. But I'm excited because Herm Edwards, I mean, that's probably the big thing that maybe fans that don't, maybe for the bowl game, that's the only reason they'll watch if they are not fans of FSU or ASU. I also know that there's 2 party schools, 2 of the best looking women are there. So I might actually want to go to the game if they're going to tailgate.
If they're going to go to the game.
Yeah. If they're going to go to the game, then I might.
At home as well.
Yeah.
You realize it's going to be about 30 degrees and it's going to be cold. There's not going to be a lot of women in bikinis just roaming around for you there, Chief. You do.
I like pretty girls that wear some clothes. I like a good jacket. Anyways, I have not done a lot of research on Arizona State. Honestly, I need to do some research on that, but I do think it'll be for these 2 teams. I think it will be a competitive game throughout the whole one. And once again, Odell Hagan is going to have full reign on it to coach, and he could get another win before the Norvell era begins, and we'll see. And I think I don't know, with the Norvell thing happening and where it's at right now, 2 days in pretty much, or 2.5 days, the team seems like there's a lot of energy there, and they're immediately backing them up. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but it seems like there's a lot of energy there. And I think even if Odell is coaching it, I think you're going to see a lot of guys want to make a mark. So then going into the offseason, they can show that they can play and show out in front of Norvell, because Norvell, like he said in the press conference, he wants playmakers to come here. And there are some playmakers at FSU right now, but they're not really showing it yet like they could, I think. So
I want to answer this guy's question right here, because he did ask a question earlier, and we apologize, Jeff. I didn't want to ignore you. He asked a question about Ron Dugans. Is Dugans going to stick around? I do think Ron Dugans will stick around. I think Dugans will be held over. Obviously, we talked about Odell Hagens will be back next season. I think you will see a couple more of the current assistants stick around. I think if you throw enough money, people will be able to stick around Tallahassee. But I think you are also going to see a cleansing at the top. I think Harlan Barnett's days are over as defensive coordinator. Thank God. And we're talking about, like, obviously, new offensive coordinator and whatnot. But I think you will see a couple holdovers. As far as who the starting quarterback will be for next season, I think entering the spring it will be James Blackman, more out of the seniority factor. I think you do have to give him that first crack, but I would not be surprised. I'm not making a prediction here. I would not be surprised if Jordan Travis starts the year against West Virginia.
Yeah, no, I agree with Blackman. I mean, that's kind of like your safe bet as of right now, but I do think Blackman will be your starter next year. It's so early on though. So there's so much. I hate sometimes doing this kind of stuff because we're not even done with the season yet, and there's a new coach coming in. No, but I think it will be that. I do think now there's going to be a lot of support for Jordan Travis, but it just depends on how he learns the playbook from Norvell. Both quarterbacks will compete again, not only on the field but also in the film room, and that is more of an aspect than anything that I think people forget about. You know, knowing the playbook and being fluid. If you can do that, that's the number one thing that coaches will look at before field play. Because if you don't know the plays out there, and because most of the time, sometimes wide receivers won't know the routes you're running, so wide receiver will come over. We see it all the time with running backs where they'll not know, all right, left side, right side. The quarterbacks know almost everything. I mean, they know everything, and the film is going to be huge. And we've heard maybe some rumblings that Jordan Travis had a hard time or a tough time with the playbook before. We kind of saw a little bit why that would be when he was playing a little bit. They didn't give him a lot of there wasn't a variety of plays that he kind of ran almost the same thing over and over again. So yeah, when it comes into play next year, you know, Jeff Sims is still, I think, almost like a 50-50 shot right now. It's not looking great as of right. I mean, I know Norvell met with them, but Jeff Sims is your incoming Elite 11 quarterback, but it just depends on Norvell and what he really likes at the moment. I mean, I know Florida State would love to have Jeff Sims, but Florida State this is Norvell's team now. This is not Norvell's quarterback that he picked, and so we'll see. It'll be a very, very interesting spring, but I think it'll be even more interesting in the next coming weeks, coming into National Signing Day.
Logan did one too many Jaeger bombs during happy hour right there. Jeff Sims will not be the starting quarterback when Florida State takes on.
Oh, not the starting quarterback, but I don't know if he'll even come to Florida State.
I think he does come to Florida State. I think, and we talked about this earlier, I think Norvell was smart that the first recruit he visited was Jeff Sims. I do think Jeff Sims will come in. My knock against Jordan Travis, and you all know that I have a bias towards South Florida athletes, obviously with Jordan Travis being from Palm Beach County down here in the Tri-County area. My question would be, is the love for Jordan Travis from the fan base the same way that there was the love for Odell Haggins? You know, Odell Haggins was 4-0 going to that Florida game. Crazy writers for websites like, Chop Chat were writing that if he beats Florida, he should, get the head coaching job. I don't know what crazy writers would do something like that. But I think that was the same thing with Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis was the flavor of the week. He had the big plays against Boston College. He had the exciting plays against Alabama State. He had the first touchdown against Florida. I think when you see it as a whole, I do believe that James Franklin is a better all-around quarterback at this point on December 10th, 2019. Will that be the same thing on September 5th, 2020? Who knows? Just I hope Virginia beats Florida in the Orange Bowl. That's all I care about.
Prayers up to them. Did we talk about like the press conference for Mike Norvell?
Yeah, we talked about that 44 minutes ago, Chief.
Oh man, boo!
The first question we talked about there.
I thought it was pretty. I thought it switched real quick because we had heard before, even if he was hired and all that kind of stuff, that he was terrible in press conferences. And this is just Twitter world though. But they're like, oh, he's terrible. He's gonna get a same tag at the press conference and everything. But it was kind of soft there at the beginning, maybe for a little bit, and then it switched real quick. I was like, okay. And then again, you do have boosters with big money and checks sitting right in front of you. And we know how much Norvell was obviously told on the plane ride and whenever they were meeting that probably a good idea to have a good look and press those boosters to get the money coming and rolling in, which from what I've heard, there's going to be a donation tomorrow, another big time donation, and then another one Friday. And the one today that was a $2.5 million donation looks like a baby compared to the other donations coming in. So
that donation was from a family named the Stoops. Just want to that
Yeah, that one today was them. Yep. There's 2 other big names that are supposed to have donations coming in to tomorrow and Friday, and supposedly there's supposed to be some big time ones. So that will help Florida State, obviously, in a lot of ways. But the big thing here is obviously the buyout for Taggart, and then also filling out the staff for Norvell, which is obviously, you get your coach. But I think the biggest thing is what you put around him, because obviously there's going to be some change. But you keep Odell Higgins, and that's a good start to everything. And I'm surprised they didn't announce Florida State's new offensive coordinator, Dillingham.
Well,
I'm surprised.
We saw an offensive coordinator under contract. I think they're going to try to keep things under guard. But he changed his Twitter.
Yeah, he changed it. I thought, and he did that yesterday, so I was surprised they didn't announce it today. But yeah, Florida State's going to bring in Auburn's former offensive coordinator. He wasn't calling plays, but he brings them in because Norvell's had ties with him.
Now, Logan, since you showed up 32 minutes late, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you buy for 1 second the comments during the press conference that Norvell was the only coach offered the job? Do you buy that for 1 second? Because I ain't buying that for a moment.
I'm not entirely buying it. I would think the only other person would have been Franklin. And we saw signs of it. I mean, Florida State wasn't getting that field all pretty, for one. It wasn't a recruiting thing. Number 2, it wasn't for I was hearing somebody was telling me that it's for graduation pictures and all that kind of stuff. No one there. The university is not doing that for you. And then also setting up the podium and all that kind of stuff and seating. It looks like identical to what they introduced Norvell with. So I think they were either it was Frank. It had to be Ben Franklin. And if it wasn't, then either Norvell or some miscommunication there. But I think he was definitely going to coach his AAC championship, his conference championship. I'm not understanding what's happening here, Mr. Mark.
We are receiving just a flood of comments and questions about the spear.
Yes, the spear is here. It's signed by legendary head coach Bobby Bowden. I also knock a light off the roof here, but okay. It's also a big spear. So you see the spear right here. You got feathers. It's nice. Yes.
That's a nice spear.
Thank you.
Can you throw that into the ground? Like, is it steel at the bottom?
Yeah, but since Bobby Bowden signed it, I'm not that dumb.
Oh yeah. You won't do that.
But,
Will you light it on fire?
Good, maybe. I don't know.
Could you?
Man, you were way too country for this.
The country? I'm not country.
Way too country, Logan. And we light it on fire. You want to light a spear signed by Bobby Bowden on fire?
So people are country if they light stuff on fire.
If you just randomly, your first thought was let me light this spear on fire. Yes, you're country.
Well, I mean, obviously you thought I was out drinking, so obviously anything with fire and stupid stuff would help.
I'm calling people at Bullwinkle. They're going to have this information for me.
Wait. Oh, God.
I did get a haircut, though, so it's nice. What little hair I have left.
It's looking good.
Don't butter me up. Don't butter me up. You showed.
Wait, how many people hold up? How many people we got watching right now? 136.
37.
130. Oh, now 38. 138, and we have 38 likes. Oh my gosh.
We got to do better than that.
Come on,
Logan. We
got to get some likes on here. I mean, Jason just showed you his spear. I mean, that's showing you. He just showed you his spear. Yeah.
Logan is being literal. It is your spear. It's a spear. It is owned by you. Yes.
You showed us. You showed us
that. Whoa.
So yeah, we need to make sure we get a lot of likes on here because Mr. Mark, we've seen a lot of likes, or not likes, but views the last couple of weeks. Last 3 or 4 weeks have been astronomical. It feels like better than before. It used to be like 75. Now we're easily over 100.
I think we were in the 170 range last week. So and we got the big fan bases at Knoll Game Day and Chop Chat, and you guys can let people know certainly that we're here. And you guys have your other outlets, right? Logan, you've got a Instagram show, correct?
Yeah, we do an IG live show, usually on Tuesday nights, but I had an exam. Tuesday nights, we do an IG live show just for an hour. I just recap what's going on during the week, and then we'll take questions and whatnot. And then our podcast that we do with former Noles, we do at least once a week, bringing on former guys like Deion Sanders, Charlie Ward, Peter Warwick, Derek Brooks.
You get the big names on the show.
Yeah, we were lucky, and we're very lucky to have them on, and they're great. So that's a podcast called Hear the Spear. We do that at least once a week.
Very cool.
I get death threats from Clemson fans, so we're both on the same level there. So it works out. Well, let's recap just this week's episode of Florida State Seminoles Talk with MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. There's hills in El Paso. It's going to be cold in El Paso. Logan has no idea who the hell POD is. Logan doesn't know what time the show starts.
That's exam. There's an finals are going on. I know there's probably some students watching too. There's a lot of students. There's like some people that reach out to me, say they watch the show. They're in school. They all understand.
Logan likes jackets on women. He likes his women clothes.
I do. They can wear clothes. They should wear clothes.
And Logan talked about my spear that made things a little bit weird. And yes, Texas. That's the other thing. Texas is a big ass state. Write that down.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Who? I'm trying to think here. So now it's defensive coordinator, and people are calling me. My mother's calling me. Defensive coordinator. Yeah, defensive coordinator is something that I think is huge. Like we were talking about, Jason, earlier about where this is going to go, because obviously people are tired of Harlan Barnett. They already had they thought that it couldn't be more terrible than Charles Kelly, but then you go to Harlan Barnett, and I mean, like I saw the Florida game having Amari Gaynor. Who else was back there? Was it Emmett Rice at free safety? I don't know. After seeing that, he should have been let go during halftime or after the game. But who do you think, there's some words and defensive coordinator stuff going on, but who would you like to see come into Florida State to be able to coach? Because I think there's a lot of things, not only just defensive coordinator, but DB. You're bringing high caliber recruits on the defensive backside, but there's no production.
I think that, number one, there was the talk about the defensive coordinator from Georgia, but I think LSU took care of that in the SEC championship game and knocked him down a few pegs there on that one. I want to see first, though, who else they're going to bring in. Obviously, and once again, this is the danger of our social media era of everyone on Twitter talking about, oh, he's going to bring Terrell Buckley from Mississippi State. Oh, go Canes, go to Shreveport. Oh, he's going to bring Terrell Buckley. Oh, he's going to bring this guy. He's going to bring that guy. At this point, I want to see how he does in recruiting first. And I think this is what we need to do. I think we need to take it in priorities. Number one, we've got signing day next week. After that, it's the bowl game. And then from there, we can go on and pick our guys from there. But that's the one thing I need to see. And that's the best thing that I liked so far, and I talked about this earlier, is that he was out recruiting right away and basically trying to keep a hold of as many guys from Tribe 20 as possible.
Yeah.
She was on the workout plan with Bowser, and she's great. So 5. Come on, Logan.
What was that?
J-Jobs has done a nice job of running the transcript to the show. He basically takes all the quotes and then he puts them on the screen for us.
That's a good job. That is a good job.
Logan, on your bachelor party, I'm going to take you to a gentleman's club, and when the women there are naked, I want you to say, "Excuse me, you'd be prettier with some clothes on." I want you to say that. Just say that one time, and we'll be fine.
With a nice jacket, I believe.
A nice jacket,
a nice jacket on. All they need to have on it. I'm big into jackets, but you know what goes well with jackets are jeans. Jackets and jeans.
Oh my God, you're a redneck. Jesus, God.
I mean, what else do I want? I mean, leggings is fine, but I see that all around campus all the time. I need to see some nice jeans.
Logan, I have a question for both of you guys, and this is what we had down here in South Florida this week.
Oh boy.
So it's a yes or no question.
Better watch your
because I just called you redneck. No, I don't think all people from Tallahassee are rednecks. It was the greatest 4 years of my life. I get it. It's a great place. It's wonderful. Logan's not a redneck.
Is it because of my camo that I wore?
You are? Oh, God, you are. Never mind. Logan is. Okay, moving on. Yes or no, would you pay $120,000 for a banana like the idiot did at Art Basel on Miami Beach?
Probably not.
Okay.
What am I paying?
A guy paid $120,000 for a banana tape that was duct taped to a wall at Art Basel, the big art event here in Miami Beach. So,
That's scary. I don't know. You should do that with your spear and see if people will buy your spear that you showed everybody.
stop talking about my spear. That's called sexual harassment. All right. We went through the training courses. Stop talking about my spear.
Oh, it's going off the rails here, folks.
Hey, what are you guys getting me for Hanukkah? Hanukkah comes up on the 22nd. What are you guys getting me? I get your Christmas gifts already, so I don't know what you're getting me for Hanukkah.
I'm getting you a hat.
Yeah, we'll have to get together on that and figure out what's most appropriate and is.
I'm just saying, I've got your gift already ready.
Going to send off your 2019 with in the right way into 2020. Yeah.
What about, real quick, we saw earlier today, Tamaron Terry tweeted putting full, making sure that you're having full support of Coach Norvell. We heard, or at least I was told inside, for the meeting, it was, I already went over it, huh? Well, let me go to what I heard that happened in the meeting whenever they came in.
45 minutes ago, we talked about it. Go ahead.
Man, well, can I say what a few players told me?
We have 3 minutes left. It's your 3 minutes. You got to make up for time. Go.
One player told me, a senior, though, he won't be here next year, but a senior on the offensive side of the ball who started a lot during the season, told me that sounds very analytical. He sounds very energized, and that's all I can pretty much say. And then also the other one, who's just a true sophomore, he was telling me about how energized the whole room was. They kind of had chills during it, and it was a whole lot different than when Taggart came in and talked to him. It's just kind of like a whole 180. The team is more, I don't know, seems, I mean, obviously energized, but ready to kind of get back to work. They said they wish they could have gone to practice right after the meeting.
Patience, people. And then I get that Logan doesn't have that at the moment right now. But then this is something we talked about earlier. FSU fans, be patient. We're not going to win 10 games next year just because he won 12 games at Memphis. We're not going to win 10 games.
You know, you are the one to talk now. Whenever we get on here next season, and I hear you saying, that's looking ACC championship caliber team, and we're that's coming. You know it's coming.
Listen, as a professional, I've been doing this business long enough. I will be professional. I will be cordial. I will listen to my POD, and I will rock out in 2020 because God bless 2019 needs to come to an end soon.
What about the big thing that happened today with Yoda, the baby Yoda meme that's going around like crazy, and the Yoda graphic that they made? You know, Florida State has had a just disastrous past of not understanding how to run social media and do graphic design, but they posted a Yoda thing, and I don't have it pulled up.
Texas Hills, baby Yoda. This show ends this week.
It was terrible. You saw it though, right?
Mark Rogers, wrap it up. This show needs help. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Wrap this.
It's a terrible. It's a conversation because it goes so much. Look at LSU, and they're just light years ahead of Florida State right now. Recruiting, and that goes. I mean, the social media game, and that ties into recruiting. And I mean, that video that they made about Joe Burrow was pretty dirty with Lil Boozy in the back.
And
I'm just saying.
Now we're talking about Little Boozy. All right.
Hey, I'm just saying.
You're the man.
We're off the rails, but we're here every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Florida State Seminoles Live. We've got 2 more shows before the bowl game to do in-depth looks at Arizona State personnel. I'm sure everyone will be waiting for that. Yes.
Real quick. Heisman winners in a name. Just one name. Go, Mark.
Burrow.
Go, Logan.
Burrow.
Joe Burrow. It's a consensus. All right.
Yeah.
So that's our prediction for the week, since we were missing a game, and Jason was able to fill us in with the Heisman. So go make your bets online. It's a consensus here. Joe Burrow will be the 2019 Heisman Trophy winner. All right.
Yes.
And then we've got National Signing Day coming up next Wednesday night. So we will have much to talk about both next Tuesday and then the following Tuesday to wrap up National Signing Day. And I would love to have one, if not both of you on for another quick discussion, 10 or 15 minutes to wrap up National Signing Day, maybe next Wednesday or Thursday, if you could spare me some time.
I can show up on
to wrap up the class for me.
No school, baby. I'm full send this whole break. No sleep. And we're going to fill out the rest of this wall. We're going to fill out the wall.
Just be sober for at least 15 minutes. That's all we have.
Trust me. To be on here with you, I wish I was drinking. See, there you go.
Wrap this up. A pet alligator for Hanukkah? What? No. Horrible idea.
I saw on here real quick. Someone said no, I can't say it. No, I can't say it. They said that for you and your stockings, they're going to put, I don't know if you saw, Jason, for your stocking stuff, they're going to put a muzzle in there.
That might actually work. Let's do it.
For your spear? That might work for your spear.
Stop talking about my spear.
All right. So SEC Dog is letting us know. Great show, Mark, as always. I don't know why these two guys are on, but great show by me, apparently, tonight.
Dang.
Good job, Mark.
Rough.
I don't know. I'm just reading the comments and interpreting them.
Good job, Mark.
No, we only do this show because of these two. Otherwise, there is no Florida State Seminoles live without these two. So Logan Robinson, Nole Game Day, who has finished his exams. They're all done? Complete?
No, but got one on Thursday. Got one on
more to
Thursday.
go.
But the big one was today, and we got that over with.
Okay.
Feel good. It was easy. Easy.
I passed my exams 13 years ago. I graduated. So it
We'll
will
give
be.
you
Parker is a graduate of FSU.
SMU.
SMU, possibly.
What?
FSU. That's
Here we go.
Confirmed by Justin
Oh,
Firm
you just
on our $2 super chat.
Let's wrap this up.
All right, let's wrap it up. And we'll be back next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time with these two. And in the meantime, join them, Chop Chat, Nole Game Day, and right here, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. See you next time.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.